Welcome to episode 294 of the Grip Strip Podcast, a new number one edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Philip Matthew. I'm your host. And as always, I'm with the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, a gentleman and a scholar. His name is Joshua Fine. What's going on, brother?
Hey, doing great, Phil. Of course, glad to be back on the show for another week here. And of course, we both got on this Philadelphia Eagles and LA Chargers game right now as we see if I make the fantasy playoffs, and I guess if you make the fantasy playoffs also. So, definitely. I think at this point, I think you're in no matter what here, as long as I score enough points and or if you just outright win. So good amount of the line on there here. So ready to get into all of it tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna go and give you a live play by play here of the game. It's a crucial game in both conferences with everything that's gone on so far this week in the NFL. So we'll definitely be giving you updates on that. I'm assuming that is it right there. That might have been it right there based on where I'm trying to, I can do it based on that right now.
6.4.
So it says, okay, so on because I have it on a split screen thing where I can also see fantasy stats, and right now you have just updated to 6.4. So Lad McConkey, of course, been one of the reasons why I'm probably my whole year has stunk is my insistence on drafting people like Lad McConkey. That's probably part of the reason why my title defense has been so bad, or relying on people like AJ Brown, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get into the F1 recap, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, to talk about where one of the reasons for a new number one comes from. Fish Lips' reign as champion finally ends, even though he went out, won the pole, and won the race. We'll get into NFL Week 14 in fantasy. That's another that's a fumble. Oh boy, he stripped him. This is like hot potato. Oh man, some bad football being played by Jalen Hurts.
What is happening there?
We're gonna do a recap of the Xfinity and Truck Series, where we saw new champions in both of those series. We'll give you an update on news in multiple forms of motorsports, and the Formula E Sao Paulo E-Prix open their 25-26 season. Josh will give us his update in iRacing Gaming on the Sim segment, and we'll call it a day. So we will first go to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to end the 2025 Formula One season, and also what was a dramatic finale, going to Apex One and seeing all the fans and people come around for that. So in the end, it was Max Verstappen getting the win, end of an era for Red Bull, last race for them with Honda. Last race for Max Verstappen, at least for now, as a world champion. Oscar Piastri finished second, even though he wasn't given prime strategy. Lando Norris finished third and did what he needed to do to win the world championship, become the 35th person ever to win the world Formula One world championship. Leclerc was fourth, Russell fifth, 25 seconds behind Leclerc. And then a further 19 seconds back was Fred Alonso. Ocon, Lewis Hamilton from 16th. Nico Hulkenberg, who also fell out in Q1, finished 9th, and Lance Stroll finished 10th. Bortoletto, Bierman, Sainz, Tsunoda, Antonelli, Albon were the lead lap cars. Hadjar, Lawson, Gasly, and Franco Colapinto round out your 20 cars. In the end, in qualifying, of course, Norris had qualified second, 2/10 off of Verstappen. Piastri was third, Russell fourth, Leclerc fifth. And with the Oscar Piastri, Verstappen didn't make the best start, but in the second phase was able to get through. Then Norris struggled on the second phase as he usually does, and Piastri made a good run on him, made an outside pass in the big hairpin. And that was essentially the majority of the race right there. That was basically it. No safety cars. Leclerc did give Lando a little bit of a sweat for periods, but it was for like a few laps, and then the Ferrari became what the Ferrari has been, which is a piece of crap. Lewis was on soft tires, had to pit around 9 laps in, came up through the field, and basically was an eighth, and that was really where he was stuck after what had been a nightmare recent run of races and qualifying for a guy who's won more poles than anybody in the history of Formula One. His first season, he didn't finish on a podium in a race. Did win a sprint, but that's the only win Ferrari had all year. If Kimi Antonelli had a decent run, he could have possibly knocked Lewis out of the top 6 in points. So Antonelli had a bad weekend, and in the end didn't have it come off that way. But I mean, in terms of this race, it was pretty straightforward. Qualifying kind of went how everyone thought it would based on how the weekend had gone for the most part. It was, while Lando had led practices, Verstappen was there. He wasn't having as many issues. Piastri was on the back foot compared to where he had been last race. And so it basically turned into what it had been the last few months, where Verstappen went out, did his thing in qualifying, and he's getting close to the Senna number in terms of poles, and went out there and now is at 72 Formula One wins, or 71, or whatever the hell it is. So, I mean, for him, he did what he had to do, qualified on pole, did enough on the start to get out there, and then went and got the job done. But when it all is said and done, by 2 points, Lando Norris, Josh, is a Formula One world champion. And there was a sweat for a little bit, but really in the end, it wasn't as big of a sweat as it could have been. And I guess in that sense, for Lando Norris and for Will Joseph and for Zach Brown and Andrea Stella, even though they worked against Piastri for the last few months, they got what they wanted. They got their world champion. So that is what they have. And Lando Norris went out there and scored more points than anybody, and that's what you need to do. And even though we're going to talk about a couple championships which could have won that didn't go that way, and one that almost didn't go that way, in this case, after 24 races, Lando Norris can say he now has the number 1 plate.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think, for the beginning of that race, the start, Lando Norris falling back to third definitely made him sweat, I think, a little bit probably, and he was not really putting any distance on Charles Leclerc there in that initial portion of the race. So even with the DRS, though, it seemed like Charles Leclerc just wasn't able to close in completely, but he was within a gap where there was conceivable possibility that maybe he could overtake him for third there in that early portion of that race. And then later on, after the first pit stop, Lando falls back a little bit naturally, of course, and then you saw Yuki Tsunoda trying to do a little defense there by weaving a little too much there and invoking a penalty there for him. So that was a pretty interesting, I guess, like in terms of the storyline for the points. But at the end of the day, Lando was able to do just enough to be able to get the points that he needed to take the title there. So for Lando, obviously first title after many years of being at McLaren. Of course, now sixth season at McLaren. So the turnaround from where they were a few years ago, obviously, until now is obviously complete. Now that they have a driver's title. So first driver's title since Lewis Hamilton probably for McLaren. So
and 2000,
2008. Yeah. So that's good stuff. For McLaren and for Lando, of course, another sim racer winning the title, of course. But certainly, you have to give credit to Verstappen and Red Bull for what they were able to do in the second half of the season. Amongst the turnover that happened mid-season and still happening with certain personnel getting fired or parting ways today. So, your favorite one-eyed monster there in Helmut Marko being gone now from Red Bull, but for Verstappen, of course, a lot of wins here in the second half, but just not quite enough to get the title. So, for McLaren, of course, I mean, the controversy with Piastri and with Lando Norris, how that title was playing out, it almost came undone here a couple weeks ago at Las Vegas, but they managed to keep it together here. And of course, last week at Qatar put things into question even more so. But now Lando gets to celebrate this championship here. So I mean, they all kind of gave everything they had. Obviously, for Piastri, a bit very very much of a long shot here for him to win the title, but. Lando took care of business for the most part, and he comes home a winner. So, it was a fairly interesting from that standpoint from title defense for Verstappen versus Lando, picking up his first win. So, at the end of the day, it's a 2-point difference, and certainly, for Verstappen, for how close this came, you have to wonder, like, where could he have found those 2 points throughout the season? Obviously, that first half where they were clearly behind on pace to Lando, they definitely have to look back on that. But given what they found here in the second half, they'll have a lot to look forward as everybody goes into new regulations here in 2026.
Not a reference. Josh wasn't making a reference to the one-eyed monster and the Monsters Inc. broadcast that ESPN is accompanying this superb football game with. He's talking about the one-eyed Marko, who after his latest outburst, which I referenced in the most recent episode of the show, I went off on that piece of shit, and they finally retired that Nazi sympathizer. There's other Nazi sympathizers that need to be retired too, but don't have as much control in terms of that. But in terms of this guy, who has been a hate-filled, vitriolic, moronic dipshit who has been a cancer in Formula One. He talks a lot, but doesn't say a lot that's good. Zach Brown, I think, is trying to be one of those people to go and fill in that role because he just can't help himself. But in terms of Marko, I mean, you look at it for Red Bull, they got rid of Karen Horner, who may come back anyways and work at Stroll F1. That's a great pass. I don't know who the hell he was throwing that to. Then you have Briatore, who's probably in the Epstein files, and he's a freaking runs the Alpine team. Then you have, now we're losing people like Peter Sauber after all these years. They're doing like 30 plus years in Formula One. The Sauber name will be off of the grid. It'll be Audi next year. So shame to see him go. There are other people. Another interception. Wow, he is on fire today. Where's Tua Tagovailoa to go and come in relief to go and save him? Oh wait, that's right. This is in Alabama. Speaking of Alabama, isn't the Eagles Oh no, I'm mixing him up with Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog's backup is your old starting quarterback,
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew. So I was thinking, oh wait, Gardner Minshew. Oh yeah, he was in Alabama too. But no, I forget who the Eagles' backup is. I really don't care. But this is ridiculous. This is some really bad football. I know one of the guys that I am friends with on Facebook he's an Eagles fan and he hates Jalen Hurts with a passion. But this he is not playing very well, I gotta say. 3 turnovers, but or did it count as a fumble and then he didn't get nailed for the fumble and oh boy, what the fuck is going on? Whoever the center was for the San Diego Chargers just got absolutely fucked, and then
is this like the Football Follies edition of the GSP?
Yeah, no. Wow, they just let whoever number 77 is may not have a job tomorrow because he just let Nakobe Dean go free run right into Justin Herbert and he fumbled the ball. Oh my God, this is some really bad. I mean, I thought the game yesterday was bad on Sunday Night Football. The Sunday Night Football game was not great, but this game is not much better.
Oh, this is like worse than that, but yeah.
Well, it is getting worse than that because every play is a turnover. Anyways, so yeah, Norris goes and gets the win, whatever. I think Piastri got screwed over because of what McLaren, they were their golden child. They wanted to win. Now we get to see what Lando Norris is really about. Now that he's a world champion, there's a greater responsibility for him, considering the toxicity of what Verstappen and his fan base have brought to the table. I think that's enough. Those are 9 yards, so 0.9. I think you got your points there on that run if they didn't call it back. Yeah. 48 yards. Yeah. So, I don't know if Steve has anybody in right now at the moment playing either. So that's another
he's finished.
Yeah.
His
score's
finished.
Yeah. So in terms of McLaren, of course, they've had the advantage for what amounts to a good year, plus, in Formula One. They had given up so much ground early in the year last year that they weren't able to overcome that against Fish Lips. In this case, this year, they did everything in their power to give it back to Fish Lips, even though they had such a big advantage. Derwin James going off the field, that's not good. He is their leader on defense. He's their best player on defense. Yeah, I mean, for McLaren now, they have multiple angles they have to play in terms of, fine, they got Norris's championship. They don't know what the new regulations will be like and if they'll be on the front foot of those. Power unit wise, from what has come out, it seems like Mercedes should be okay, but like in terms of that, we don't know what will Piastri do now that he has this offseason to think about how McLaren handled him. When he probably figures and feels like if they had left the car alone and not messed with anything, he probably goes and wins the world championship going away. There is that. For Fish Lips, Karen Horner's gone. One-Eyed Marco now will be gone. There's still the notion that he might be in play as a free agent going into 27. Depending on what Red Fool looks like with the Ford Red Bull power unit and the regulations, which are, now this is the first car that'll definitely be penned without Adrian Newey on board since 2000 something or another, good 20 years, better part of 20 years. That he was involved with Red Fool, so he's another thing. So you look at the brain trust and the people that were Red Fool, and all of those main people are gone now. So you're basically starting fresh there, gonna find out what they're about. next year, and Verstappen too, for that matter. First time since 2021 that or the last race of 2021 that he hasn't been a world champion. He'll be going in there. So, and then that's just those two teams. Then you look at Mercedes, new power, new regulations. Will it fit their organization similar to what happened in 14 and give George Russell the opportunity to match Lando as a world champion? Or will Kimi Antonelli flirt with all those youngest driver ever records that basically either Fishlips or Vettel have? Ferrari, after one of their worst years in recent memory for Lewis, all the issues he had all year and not being able to even get through qualifying round, the first part of qualifying, soundly beaten in the standings by his teammate, saying he's going to go off the grid. What do they have to show? What are they going to be doing this next year? The power unit, of course, for them will be going to Haas. They have Ollie Bierman, who's basically on deck to be that second driver. They also are powering the Cadillac team. So there is a PR aspect of it for them as well. Ferrari needs to have a good power unit coming out there. And then I just forgot about Red Bull, Hadjar being in the second car. Will they actually make a car that's balanced for both guys for the first time in a decade? That would be a novel concept. Ferrari wanting to compete, actually have a chance. Audi and Sauber, what will they bring to the table now that it's not Sauber and whatever? Can Hulkenberg finally get that opportunity that he's been waiting so long for? That's just, and then Aston Martin, that's the other one. Newey as a team principal, Honda as a power unit. What will they bring to the table as a car, and will they be able to get on the right part of it there? And if they're able to do so, then it could be very, very good. Because if they're able to make something happen, Fred Alonso at 98 years old could possibly go out there and win a third world championship. So it's wide open next year now. This is the last year of this regulation. Lewis, if there was any regulation set that probably was one that sucked the most for him, fit his driving style the least, it was this one. It definitely suited the likes of Fishlips and others better. So the reset is an opportunity. Of course, now it'll be on Apple TV. So people are going to be doing some illegal streaming. I'll be one of those people, because I'm not going to pay for another subscription. Peacock, I guess I would keep it in a sense for sports cars, but it's not like I don't really need to. I could probably get it on IMSA, I guess I could get rid of that and then get Apple TV, so then I could stare at like Trisha Whitaker on Friday Night Baseball, but then I don't watch baseball like that. I just like looking at her ass and titties. But and congrats to University of Indiana by winning the Big Ten championship game and being the number one seed, no less. And they get to be in the Rose Bowl. Who would have thought Indiana, the University of Indiana, would be in the Rose Bowl? But yes, that is going to happen. So, yeah, there's plenty to look at in regards to Formula One, and this season was a lot. Basically, it was a 3-horse race the whole way. McLaren had the early advantage, really. Then there were times where it looked like Max had the better of the two McLaren drivers, and I think in the end, was he the best of the three drivers? Yes. Did he have the best car? No. So it makes what he did in his defense to try and become a 5-time world champion maybe his best performance since 21, when he actually had to, quote, earn, which he really didn't earn, his first championship. there at the end, but he crashed his way and then had Massey help him, and then had it his way for 3 years. Base for 2+ years, he had it easy, and then it turned around in Miami last year, and then ever since then he's really had to show his mettle, and I think it's shown more of his ability since he lost the ultimate advantage. That yes, they made the car for him, so his prowess and his superiority over his teammate, which destroyed what, 3 different people in the end, is one thing, but the fact that he's able to compete for wins, poles, and his three different teammates couldn't even get out of Q1 at times, couldn't make Q3 of qualifying, couldn't score points. There is that, and I mean, I would also say that when you look at greatness of drivers in your team, you probably are as good as what your teammates are able to do in the same car. And I mean, Lewis in all those championships, for the most part, had a teammate that was able to compete. There were a couple of years where Valtteri wasn't that good, I will say, but he was still in the top 5 in points. Like when he raced with Jensen, and I'll always say that Jensen's literally the only teammate that really beat him legitimately. That was a head-to-head battle. They had the same car, and he's a world champion, and he beat him. That's fine. I can deal with that. There was bullshit circumstances that went on with Nico Rosberg. There was definitely an obvious bias, and the rules also not fitting, which helped Russell. And then this year with Ferrari is Ferrari. The fact that they favored Charles Leclerc's whatever, it's just bad business, bad management. And so there's that. Did Leclerc beat him? Yeah, of course he did. Same way as Russell beat him the last 2 years, or 3 years, or however many years it's been. But the fact is, I think that Lewis had as many wins while they were teammates as Russell had together. So that's whatever. We'll see what happens next season in Formula One, for sure. Kenny Pickett's the Philadelphia Eagles backup. Forgot about that. So yeah, the final standings for the drivers: Norris by 2 over Verstappen, Piastri 13 points short. Russell finishes 4th, Leclerc 5th, Hamilton 6th, Antonelli 7th, scoring 150 points for him. Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz finish 8th and 9th. Alonso rounds out the top 10, 5 points out of Hulkenberg and Hadjar. Bierman, Lawson, Ocon, Stroll, Sonoda. You won't be on the grid next year. Gasly, Bortoleto, and then the 2 second Alpine drivers, who neither of them scored a point. In the team standings, of course, McLaren had won it. Mercedes ends up being 18 points ahead, 18 points ahead of Red Bull in the standings, and that was with 3 different drivers Red Bull had. Ferrari falls down to 4th, so they were 53 points behind Red Bull at the end of the year. Williams finishes 5th. Toro also finishes 3 points ahead of Aston Martin. Haas 8th, Sauber 9th, and then Alpine rounding out the rear. So that is the end of 2025 Formula One in terms of the regular racing. The young driver test will take place here starting Tuesday. And we'll see, I forget who will be driving in those tests and whatever, and what will happen with those, and who will be able to do whatever with that. And we'll go from there, I guess. Let us get into, I mean, the rules also, we want to, I mean, the rules, the end of DRS, the end of this power unit formula, the end of end of the the aerodynamic formula as well. So that's good. It's been pretty bad, honestly. The racing's become pretty crappy. So they'll have active aero. Think there will be a push to pass element of sorts with the increased use of the hybrid component. I think there'll be less insistence on the rear diffuser, rear aero to go and make the downforce that they need. So those are all, I think they might be adjusting the tire a little bit. I mean, there's a few things they'll be doing. So a lot to look into, and more we're going to get into, I guess, next February once Formula One gets to testing the new cars, for sure there. Oh, we can move into our, what do you call, our recap of the Xfinity and Truck Series. I think for the Truck Series, we'll keep it simple. It was Corey Heim all day, every day, till it almost wasn't at Phoenix, setting all kinds of records in the Truck Series this past season for wins and poles and whatnot. I mean, it's crazy to think what Corey Heim was able to do what he's been able to do the last 4 years in the Truck Series, being a rookie, winning Rookie of the Year in 22, putting himself in position to win the championship the last 3 years, and finally getting the championship this year, to go out and, I mean, just you think about it, he won 4 of the last 5 races, and honestly, he helped Gio Ruggiero win at Talladega, or else he could have won that race. Bristol was the only he only lost after it was Lane Riggs or Corey Heim, just using this from race number 14 at Pocono in June all the way to the end of the year. It was either Lane Riggs, Corey Heim, or Gio Ruggiero who won a race. But the majority of those races were won by Corey Heim. It was, he ran the full season, 12 out of 25 races he won, 19 top 5 finishes, 21 top 10s, 7 poles, average start of 4.2, average finish of 5.0. And I just thought about this randomly in the light of the news that came out earlier that Nick Sanchez just got fired from the Big Machine Records team. And right now, of course, there's the NASCAR lawsuit and stuff going on, and 2311 doesn't have an Xfinity program, and Toyota, of course, doesn't have that many cars in the Xfinity series. They have the 2 Sam Hunt vehicles, they have the ones at Joe Gibbs, but why wouldn't it be such a bad idea for Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin to go and say to Scott Borchetta, hey, we have a driver that's sitting here that won 12 races last year in a truck, and we could use your marketing side and probably use it on a cup car, and then I can give you a guy who's probably the next big thing in NASCAR. It didn't dawn on me until just now. I thought about it just now. I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. Yeah. Why would you fire the guy who won Rookie of the Year, basically, or would have been a Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for Connor Zilic, in the Xfinity series, who won a race, finished 11th in points? Why would you get rid of a guy, diversity driver, no less? Why would you get rid of that guy in December, unless, and with some of the other manufacturer changes that are going on with the rise of all these teams going to Chevy? What is it to some of these other organizations to not go and get teams on board to work with them to solidify their situation. And when Corey Heim, who just did what he did and dominated a Truck Series season, doesn't have a ride, it seems insane that he'd be looking for one. But that's just another point. I don't know what you were thinking, because you came back on in terms of that or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's an interesting idea there. Except for, I mean, the 48's a Chevy, so I think you'd also, I guess with that idea there, you're saying to convince them to change manufacturers in the off season and go with Toyota there. But I mean, I don't disagree with the concept, hypothetically speaking. I mean, go put him in the car. Even that, like, okay, why don't you just go buy out the 26 car with Sam Hunt, right? He's already driven in that car, I think, and a handful of Xfinity starts there as the Eagles
missed a field goal.
So Jake Elliott there missing there. So as we end half here at the Eagles Chargers game. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that concept, or putting him in the 26 car as has been the kind of the pseudo Toyota development driver car. We've seen other Toyota development drivers kind of go in that ride when they didn't have the opportunity in a Gibbs car, right? I think John Hunter Nemechek drove in the 26 a couple of times at least before he got back to the Cup Series, or went back to Trucks Xfinity with Joe Gibbs. So yeah, why not do that? So yeah, I mean, in the midst of all this, I mean, they've got to figure out a way to get him on track, because yeah, it's absurd that 20, or not 20, but I mean, it felt like he won 20 races, but yeah, 12 races won by Corey Heim, and effectively on the sideline as of right now. And it's December. I mean, there's still time, but you'd like to have these things all wrapped up going into February, late January. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I mean, to start off, with the Truck Series, I mean, with Corey Heim, obviously, I think it was Heim time this year for him, but there was the issue with the first half of the season where kind of was looking like in past years where he had given away races, and whatever reason, whether something happened at the end, North Wilkesboro, remember, he got ran over on, like, he was going to win that race and he got ran over and finished in 17th, and there were other races where they led a handful of laps but didn't win the race. So until he started winning, and he had already 3 wins by that point at North Wilkesboro. But after that, like, he put it all together and started closing out races and everything, and that led to the title run that he went on, built up a huge point lead to close out the regular season. So it was just a matter for him, I think, for this season, other than winning the championship. In order to get there, it was a matter of him closing out races there in the second half of the year in the Truck Series.
With having Scott Zipadelli and having the veteran crew, it was just a case of, like you're saying, I mean, putting it all together, and they did. And then they went and ran roughshod, a la Ron Hornaday Jr., a la Jack Sprague or Mike Skinner, or insert legendary Truck Series driver here, because he is. When you look at the history of the Truck Series and how many races Corey Heim has won in his career, and you look at his statistics, it's, I mean, because we know Caden Honeycutt's going to be in that truck next year, so I thought I was going to, all right. Yeah, I mean, you look at that he had, on top, the Xfinity, he's only run 20 races in the Xfinity series, so there is that. I mean, that's true. I mean, I think they could buy out Dean Thompson, if we're really being honest. They could buy out Dean Thompson if they were smart enough. Maybe Sigma Auto, but then they're a Ford team, so that ain't gonna happen. He's run 89 races in his Truck Series career, 23 wins, 51 top 5s, and 68 top 10s with 14 poles. Led just under 3,000 laps, with an average start of 7.4, an average finish of 8.1, with running lead lap 78 of those 89 races, which in just using the last 3 years, as an example, he finished on lead lap in what was it, all but one race, then two, that was two, so that's 3, 5. So he was off the lead lap only 5 times in what amounted to 60 something, 20, 20, 40, 60, 70 races. So 65 out of 70 races. So that's, I mean, he's been efficient as a driver. He's shown in limited opportunities. He only ran 3 times this year. In 24, he ran 13 races and finished in the top 5 3 times and had 4 top 10s, and that was in Sam Hunt equipment. He did it at Richmond, Iowa, and then in the super speedway race at Atlanta, which he has won at in a truck, of course. So, and then in the Cup Series this year, he got a top 10 finish. I think it was Bristol. Okay, I was thinking he was running up front at Nashville, and then he got wrecked. He had issues and he finished 13th at Kansas. So there was that. So, yeah, I mean, for him, what he did in the Truck Series, he's not going to be back. It's going to be a whole new world in the Truck Series next year with Dodge being back. I think Ford will probably take a more increased interest in the Truck Series because they're losing a lot of their leverage. They have basically no leverage in the Xfinity anymore. It seems like everybody's going with an RCR affiliation. It seems like RCR is going to have about 10 cars next year, the rate that they're going. Then you have Dodge coming back with Colleague, and you're going to have Butterbean Queen and Justin Haley, who's got plenty of years of Cup experience now. And then Dye, who is probably his best situation would be in a truck. So there is that. I mean, we look at Caden Honeycutt, he'll be taking over Corey Heim's seat in the 11. Majeski comes back, he'll be driving the 88 truck next year after finishing second in his title defense. So there will be double murderer randomly at damn, that didn't work out so well for Baltimore. Ankrum back with McAnally, Hilgeman, Riggs, who was the second best driver this year, finished 5th in points, so he'll be a early title favorite, I would say. A couple in Ford guys, Honeycutt, Carruth is out now, he won't be back next year. You have Enfinger will be back with CR7, Chandler Smith will be back with Front Row. So yeah, I mean, I think Ford will have a bit of an advantage initially with those veteran guys. Hemrick, it doesn't seem like it's going to be back, so it seems like a bad situation for him. Getting replaced by, why the fuck am I forgetting his name? A dude that was in the, for driving for Colleague last year in the 16. But whatever, I'll look up his name in a minute. But yeah, Jake Garcia Ruggiero is another one who'll be back with a year of experience. So, I mean, a lot of the main players in the Truck Series this last year are going to be back. So there will be some strong drivers, and you add a few new names to that. So I think the Truck Series, for as bad as it's been in terms of TV and presentation and the product that they put out there, I think the Truck Series actually has hope next year of actually being somewhat more competitive and compelling, which is actually a positive sign considering this series has been dying a slow death seemingly for the last few years. But yeah, I mean, for Ford, I guess that's their one place that they have a chance to actually, do something, because they need to find a pipeline and get some other drivers up there because they don't have one in Xfinity at the moment. And, Pizza Face is not getting any younger. It's one thing to say that after seeing that bastard drive at 15 or 16 years old. And now he's a 30-something-year-old guy. But, Blaney is is really your young guy, and he's 30. So, you need to have somebody in the pipeline that is the future for Ford. And then you look at being Todd Gilliland, I guess, maybe. I don't know. You're just trying to think of who's in the Ford camp. They had Chase. They had Briscoe. He's 30, 31, whatever, but he's a Toyota guy now. So you would have thought, and I've been saying this for a long time, I'm like, if Ford had any sense, they would have bought Corey Heim and paid him everything they needed to, and they would have told Penske, put a damn Xfinity program out there, or told RFK, put an Xfinity program out there. Maybe whoever these people that are taking over the AM racing team are going to join up with Roush, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me what Ford's angle is at this point. Toyota's either, for that matter, in terms of their long-term viability for their driver development. At least Dodge, we know they want Butterbean Queen as their guy. Fine. All right. They're with Colleague. So there is a pathway. Good. But they're going to pay. They're not going to be able to compete in the Cup Series to the same level as they have, because they won't have the same level of technical support. So that's the thing. So like AJ is going to suffer, AJ Allmendinger. But if they know that they're going to go to Cup and they're going to develop an engine during 2026 so that in 2027 they'll be up in Cup with like a balance of performance thing, then so be it. Then the year of like kind of pain won't matter as much, but we'll see what happens with that. The Xfinity Series, Lane Riggs, he was up there, should have been competing for the title. Second most top fives, wasn't second most in top tens. That was Ty Majeski. Laps led, he was second in laps led, second in average finish, third in average start. So, in terms of competitiveness, it was Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, as I mentioned. And, I guess you could say Majeski was there, but he didn't win a race after winning the championship the year before. So it's kind of a bad look to not be in a position to win a championship or not win a race, or, after winning a championship the year before. So it's not ideal. But I think Majeski, being the new face of Colleague Racing, or not Colleague Racing, of ThorSport, will be able to do some work, I think, next year with the Menard sponsorship. Xfinity had, the talk of, I think the other aspect was, the championship, right? And the championship format. Corey Heim was in a position late in that race at Phoenix where there was a possibility he could have lost that championship after he'd done what he had done. They still haven't announced a format because I guess they're worried about this lawsuit, but the notion is, if you could take into the possibility that Corey Heim could have dominated this entire season and then he would have lost on a technicality on a restart, and then he had to make an epic restart late, passing about 10 trucks, on 2 restarts to go and make that happen. That's extreme when somebody has been that dominant, and it kind of shows why the playoff doesn't really work. In the NHRA, it kind of has zeroed things out, but it gives you enough races where, based on your performance over that many races, it kind of evens itself back out anyways. If you've been one of the best drivers or teams over the series, and you're able to put a run together, so be it. But at least if you've been up there, you kind of earned your shot through the regular season, and then you showed up when it really counted. But in the case of Corey Heim, at least he wasn't screwed by the format. On the other hand, Connor Zilisch and Justin Allgaier can probably say they were screwed by the format. Zilisch set all kinds of records as a rookie, missed a race because of his back injury that he suffered after getting wrecked by his good buddy and the guy who ended up becoming the champion, Jesse Love, at Talladega. And Kyle Larson jumped in that car and won at Texas. 10 wins, 9 that Connor Zilisch actually won with him in the car. Parker Kligerman ended up wheeling the 88 to victory, and they credited Zilisch with the win. Daytona, 20 top 5s, 23 top 10s, 8 poles, led over 1,000 laps, averaged an 8th place finish, which was by far the best. And, it's an insane season for a guy who, when you look at Connor Zilich's NASCAR career, never was in the truck or ran he ran 8 truck races. Okay, fine. So I didn't remember him. I guess he ran for Spire. That's what it was.
Charlotte Roval.
Yeah. He ran Spire, 6 races, and then 2 races he filled in this year. He ran for the Nice Motorsports team once Honeycutt had signed his deal with he had made his deal with Tricon and then with Spire. Yeah. So he's run 8. Yeah, he'd run 8 truck races and all. I don't think any of them were, what is it? I'm looking back at last 2024. He ran 4. Oh, so he did run 5 oval races. Okay, so he ran 5 oval races in a truck. In the Xfinity Series, he had run 3. So he had 8 oval racing starts. And then in the ARCA Menard Series, I guess he ran another probably 6 or so. Trying to go through. Oh, he ran the whole ARCA East Series. That's what it was. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So, I mean, he ran what amounted to, I guess, a full season on ovals, we could say he probably had a year on ovals across multiple series. And the guy went out this year and set all kinds of records for a rookie. Based on that and that alone, he should have won this championship. I think Allgaier winning the championship and becoming a repeat champion wouldn't have been as much of a fight. He got 20 top 10s, 15 top 5s, won 3 races. I mean, honestly, they were the 2 most dominant. They had 90 playoff points amongst the 2 of them. Combined, 60 for Zilisch, 30 for Allgaier. If you told me one of those 2 guys wins this championship, it's justifiable, it's explainable. When Jesse Love, who, I mean, granted, they'll say, well, he had a little better average finish than Allgaier. Allgaier had a 12.3 to Jesse Love's 11.1. He had more lead lap finishes. He was running at the finish of one more race. But you look at other metrics, he led under 300 laps for the whole year versus over 1,000 for the other 2 guys. He had 1 less top 10 than his buddy Zilisch, but he had 11 less top 5s and 6 less top 5s than Allgaier. He had 1 less win than Allgaier, but he had 8 less wins than Connor Zilisch. I mean, it's a format that, when it comes to the Xfinity Series and this playoff format, and I said it like last week or whatever, and I said, yeah, it basically tells you, look, win Daytona, you're locked into the playoffs. Do everything you can throughout the season, accumulate points, do whatever you need to, and put yourself in position to make that final round, make that final race in the case of this previous format, and what will probably be the next format, which will be a 3-race deal or whatever the hell, a 4-race deal or whatever. And then put yourself in a position. And if it's a 3 or a 4-race deal, and Jesse Love ran better than either of those other guys, that's more of just you could make a case. But him winning the championship, Larson going and winning the championship without even leading a lap in the final race. I mean, even for as much as I don't like Jesse Love or anything RCR, the guy went out there and led 35 laps. And he led the last 25, or 28 of the last, 28 of the last 45 laps of the race. So, I mean, in the sense that he would have, and then without playoff, he would have finished 194 points behind Connor Zilic. But he went out there and he had to do what he had to do, and he did what he was asked. And I mean, Eric Almirola finished second in that race, and he would have won the owners, and he could have won the owners championship. Or I forget how that. I don't even remember anymore. I've lost track. But
Eric Almirola,
I mean So, and I mean that's another one. I mean Almirola going in there, cherry picking and being like Mark Martin, going out there in that 19 car and winning basically every time he'd get out in it, while his regular teammates had problems winning races. Bruckshaw Jones, I guess, showed up late in the year, but and it's the Xfinity Series left a bad taste, and even with what's happened to Nick Sanchez, he wins a race, the first race for that organization since Tyler Reddick, I don't know how many years ago, puts him in the playoffs, gives him a chance, and then they go and fire him the 1st of December. Not even 1st of December, the 8th of December. So you not only, if you knew that you were going to get rid of him, you could have gotten rid of him at the end of the season. He still might have had an opportunity to get a budget together, maybe hook on with whatever it is, some team, and maybe he could with like Alpha Prime or some, I guess, second or third tier team, and that's really where he's going to end up having to be. At this point, I don't think he has many options. Maybe hooks on with that Sigma performance group. Maybe he's that young gun that Ford can acquire, perhaps. But, like the Xfinity Series just left me wanting. You get such a great driver, and in the end, we're going to see Connor Zilic next year in the Cup Series running for basically unopposed for Rookie of the Year, and he'll be plying his trade there, and he'll have his days. He'll have some hard days, but he's also going to be really, really good on road courses, and he's going to be testing himself and against his own teammate, who has changed the game on road courses in NASCAR, and Shane Van Gisbergen, who won Rookie of the Year this past year. So, I mean, we have to give credit in the end. Jesse Love gets a championship, fine, good, whatever. Don't have to respect it, really, because RCR sucks. RC sucks as a person, and I don't really care that they called him an inbred dipshit hillbilly, because he is, but he's a rich inbred dipshit hillbilly, so it's not really like it's like if they're going to call him dumb, then they're dumb too, because they've given him the playing field to compete in and win championships for all these years, NASCAR. So there's that. Jesse Love has been someone who's been unlikable, and people, a lot of fans are not really keen on him because he seems like a bit of a dick. But then when you consider who his teammate is, it doesn't matter how big of a dick you are when your teammate is Austin Hill. But Zilic going out there and doing what he did was insane. This past year in Xfinity, we haven't seen anything like that really out of a young, generally inexperienced driver. Keebler Gibbs, I guess, has some semblance to that, but there's just something different with Connor Zilic, and I think we're going to see that in the Cup Series this coming year and for years to come. And then for Allgaier, as much as anything, it's as long as he wants to run. I think Junior Motorsports and Brand Professional Agriculture will sponsor him. He'll have a ride. So there is that. But I think this next year, it's such a shame the way that it ended, because this coming season in the Xfinity Series, there isn't as much variety. It's just basically going to be a hell of a lot of Chevys, a couple of Toyotas. Not really sure if there's going to be any. There's only going to be like one Ford in the field, maybe two at any time. Toyota is going to have the Gibbs cars, and I mean, you look at Gibbs going into next year, they're not really going to make any wholesale changes. They're going to have Buckshot Jones, who's a never will be, and whatever the hell his name is, forgetting his name too now. Go through. So Christian Eckes, is the one that's going back to the Truck Series with McAnally, Hilgeman, and William Sawalich. So yeah, Sawalich is gonna be back. Whatever. He's not. Taylor Gray might be the guy, I guess. That's compelling. After he went out there and won Martinsville last November. And so he might be a compelling person as a favorite for the Xfinity Championship. You also have a mixed field deal for Carson Kvapil, who'll be coming back next season. There'll be a new crew chief for Justin Allgaier next because what's it called? His crew chief is going up the Cup. Isn't he going to Kyle Busch too? Isn't that what?
Yeah.
So he's going. Yeah, Allgaier's crew chief is going over to Kyle Busch. Rick Burnett's going over to work with Connor Zilic actually at Trackhouse. So that actually is a come up. Corey Day's going to be running full time next season. So that'll be interesting. A full Hendrick car, along with the JRM cars that'll be out there. Sammy Smith, Creed, Mayer will be back for Haas, which will be a Chevy team. Oh, that's another fumble. Oh man, this is really bad. Like if you want to have a video of how terrible protection of footballs is, or maybe it's a video on great competing on every play, I guess is how they'll put it. Burton will be with a new team. Eckes will be in the Truck Series. So the Xfinity Series, I mean, I don't know your thoughts. I mean, I've been going for a bit, but I mean, Xfinity Series this year was really competitive. First year on the CW, they did a really good job with the presentation of the races, whether they were at the track or not. The difference was you didn't get unlike the Truck Series, at least you got a more organic presentation from Adam Alexander, and then they had McMurray and Kligerman. That was a good combination. They're a really good trio. They all work off each other very well. The pit road people were very good. So for that, they have a positive. Giving us organic stories even through the people in the midfield, the second and third tier teams getting an opportunity to show themselves. That is a good thing. O'Reilly saw that and jumped on that to go and give themselves that extra, now that they're going to be the presenting title sponsor of the series. There's some compelling names coming into the series. Like I mentioned, you're going to have Raja. You're going to have LeVar next year in full-time rides. You're going to have Rodney Childers, who's one of the best crew chiefs in the sport, who's going to come and work for his buddy Dale Jr. With Carson Quapple and Connor Zilich and whoever the hell else will be driving the one car. So I mean, there's the Xfinity Series there is definitely it's somewhat healthy in the sense that the fields I think might be getting a little bit more competitive. It's going to be a little harder this next year to find a standout figure, but there are some names that we saw this past season that could give themselves an opportunity to go and compete. And but this past year it was really about Connor Zilich and Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so there. I'd definitely agree with that. It was definitely Allgaier and the consistency that he had, and Connor Zilich with, the amount of wins that he had. And obviously, I mean, both sides we've talked about tonight with the truck and the Xfinity Series. I mean, it's basically a coin flip with the way that the playoff format is. And, of course, with Phoenix, right? I mean, Connor Zilich finished third, which, normally that you would think that that'd be good enough. I mean, this era it's not, because you have to effectively win. But I mean, if you go by the history of the sport, I mean, you'd think that a third place finish would be good enough to win the race. Certainly, hey, we're talking Formula One tonight. I mean, those third place was good enough for Lando Norris to win the championship, and you'd think that in NASCAR, third would be good enough for a guy that won 10 races, 20 top fives, 23 top tens, average finish of sixth, average starting position of 6.8, right, would be good enough, right? But obviously it wasn't. So it's the format, that's been the issue, which we've been talking about for a billion years at this point, and all that. But for Zilich, obviously his talent surely on display, right? And just happened to this car, I mean, at the end for him just didn't have a good enough handling car compared to Jesse Love. So yeah, Jesse Love bookends the season and gets a title and everything, and he'll continue to be a threat on super speedways with his teammate in Austin Hill. And certainly, I mean, I think he's a good road course driver too. I mean, he went down to Adelaide and ran the season finale, won the season finale events in supercars and everything. So certainly pretty talented on that side. So he'll be a solid, at least Xfinity driver. He's gotten a couple of cup starts there. So potentially could be a guy in the future in the Cup Series for RCR, or any other Chevy program that has an opening there, that could be for him. So I mean, for Zilich, I mean, obviously before the injury, the whatever back injury he had at Talladega ended up being a good thing for him. He only won at Coda before that. Still was, looking pretty raw at a lot of other tracks or a lot of other races, leading up to that crash at Talladega. And then I guess, I don't know, maybe it was Kyle Larson winning in his own car at Texas the following week and just set him off on, some kind of streak there. And yeah, I mean, even at Phoenix, the first Phoenix race, started fourth and finished 16th. So there's clearly still some work to do there. Had good qualifying position the first half up until that incident at Talladega there, and then that kind of just went on a tear after that. Rockingham won the pole at Rockingham, but had issues throughout the day and finished in 13th. So once it got to the summer and everything, and he's able to get into the more road course heavy portion of the schedule. Of course, won at Pocono, Dale Jr. as his crew chief, right? Won at Sonoma head-to-head battle versus SVG the week after losing to him at Chicago. Dover had a win, won after the stuff that happened in Indianapolis, won there in the 100th victory for JRM in the flagship number 88 car, right? And then went on another four race run of wins, which include the broken collarbone at Watkins Glen. So I mean, he went on a crazy run there, and should have been the championship. and everything. So now he'll go into this season here in Cup. We'll see what he can do. Surprisingly, man, another fumble there. Justin Herbert, a little slow to get up there, but for Zilich, I mean, it was a little surprising that he didn't have as many starts in Cup as I thought he would. I mean, I think maybe the injury may have prevented that, because I think he was on hand to schedule or to run the Cup race at Watkins Glen, where he got hurt and obviously wasn't able to do that. So for him, the Cup experience, we'll see how he's able to do. Obviously, he only ran Coda, which he crashed out of early there, and then Charlotte and Atlanta. So still some experience that he's got to have in the Cup Series, but they've already asked, or he's already on record talking about the differences between the Cup car and the Xfinity car, and how they drive differently. So there'll still be some work to do for him in the Cup Series next year, but certainly following the same path with Shane Van Gisbergen, of course, who I think was also the Xfinity Rookie of the Year in 2024. So likely could be I don't know who else is going to be a rookie in 2026 in Cup. So maybe by default will be the Rookie of the Year in Cup next year. But nevertheless, still an excellent season in the Xfinity Series for sure. But on the other hand, for other drivers, of course, in this series, like mentioned, Justin Allgaier, of course, a handful of wins. That's crazy. He only won twice, or 3 times, which I thought he would have won more. But he only won a handful or 3 races here. So JRM, obviously, they were the class of the field in the Xfinity Series this year, of course, with the amount of wins that they had as a team, as an organization. So they had 3 of the 4 in the title. Of course, didn't win it, but still, I mean, that's what you want from an organization there. So obviously, they were able to handle business for the most part, except for the championship. Of course, big topic was Austin Hill and the suspension that he got after right hooking Eric Almirola at Indianapolis, of course. And of course, Eric Almirola helped contribute to the Xfinity Owners title for the 19 car, with him winning 3 races in a 17 race schedule. There, 8 top 5s, 11 top 10, 11 top 10s there, and then a handful of other Toyota drivers winning in the 19 car. So for the 19, I mean, they had a great season in terms of being able to point enough to win the Xfinity title for the owner's side. So a lot of money there for the Xfinity Series to win that. And that was it was interesting, because I remember years ago there were some Cup teams that had the one All-Star car, and they managed to win the Xfinity Owners Championship, like Penske did. I think they did that a couple of times. RCR did that a couple of times back in the day with Harvick and Jeff Burton. So, that's a kind of a throwback there for the Xfinity Series, and Joe Gibbs Racing managed to do that there. So, it was a crazy season for the Xfinity Series. Yeah, definitely a lot of quality racing, I think, compared to what we saw in the Cup Series this year at times. Definitely the Saturday races were definitely, I think, a lot more compelling to watch from a racing standpoint of things versus what we saw throughout the season in Cups. So definitely the Xfinity Series looks healthy, I guess. You mentioned the Ford stuff, the lack of driver development pipelines, but otherwise, I think you still have a quality set of drivers. Raja Karuth is coming up to the Cup Series, or eventually maybe, but coming up to the Xfinity Series here, or the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, as it will be now called. So there's still some good things here now that they found a replacement for Xfinity. So the OAP Series, as it will be called here, going to have a lot of good drivers. Carson Kvapil will seemingly, it looks like a demotion, but it really isn't. Still running full time, but we'll be doing it across multiple cars. So that'll be interesting. And then, yeah, Roger Cruth will be splitting time between Jordan Anderson Racing and mostly in Junior Motorsports. So that's going to be interesting there. So, yeah, Roger, good season for him as well. So in the Truck Series and good enough to be in the Xfinity. So be interesting there. And then also LeVar Hill is going to be here in the Xfinity or in the O'Reilly Series. Yeah.
LeVar Scott.
Yeah, LeVar Scott. Sorry there. Yeah. LeVar Scott will be in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series here coming next year for Alpha Prime. So, yeah, got a lot of young talent coming here into the series next year, and you still have a solid group of guys here that are going to be in this series. So, for the most part, yeah, it still looks pretty healthy. And then, of course, I think an underrated part of the season was just the television coverage of the series being on the Xfinity or on the CW. Definitely made it more interesting to watch. Solid group of commentators with Parker, Kligerman, and Jamie McMurray, and Adam Alexander being the primary commentators throughout the year. And you had a lot of legitimate coverage, of course, and definitely, I think, raised the bar for NASCAR broadcasting, across all three series. And of course, they had a good increase in the ratings for the Xfinity series. So definitely looks healthy, relatively speaking, of course, for the now O'Reilly Auto Parts series going into 2026. So, yeah, I think there's, for all these drivers here in this series, there's definitely a lot of things to be looking forward to here in the future.
I'm just curious now in terms of what the O'Reilly series will be next year. Who will come up, who will stand out, and when we look at the opportunities that are really available in Cup, Corey Heim, as we mentioned earlier, is proof that he's being basically stonewalled from an opportunity because of a beef he has, or not he, but someone else has with him. And then you think about people like Taylor Gray, who might have the talent and ability given time, and how many vehicles are out there that are Toyotas. Just as that. Then you have Ford, who I think if RFK knew what they were doing, they'd probably have an Xfinity program. They're trying to expand their deal. There is that. That's that chick that was in that game. She was at the deal when they were in Brazil against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
And she was the one that was supposed to be in the Mr. Beast thing, where if the Chargers had lost, she would have been launched into like oblivion or something. But then some fat fuck Kansas City fan got launched instead. Yeah. So, oh man. Anyway, yeah, this game is not good. And there's a possibility that the Chargers could win the division. But it'll be hard for them to be fair, but we will see how that all works out, in terms of the, and so I guess that, all right. So there's our season recap for both of those series. So we can go into NFL Week 14. Been going through this fantasy, the pain of this fantasy season. I should just, go balls out at this point. It doesn't really matter anymore. I should just drop. If I even make the playoffs, I'm going to probably be really in trouble anyways, because I've had the worst. My team has been low scoring. I'm about to lose. We're playing a playoff game where we're playing. If it was a baseball game, our game is a 3-2 game going into the ninth. That's literally what our game is. I have the second least amount of points. There's only me and Jeff have this level of points. Vic's got over 100 points more than me. Steve has 220 points more. Luke has 160 points more than me for points for, and Saquon just went to the house. Yeah. Though they almost missed that too.
Good stuff.
So yeah, you just won.
Yep.
Manny's gonna get a bye, probably, after this now. That is a problem. Maybe the Chargers will actually throw to Lad McConkey. That would be a novel concept. Oh man, they were gonna run a tush push and he broke through. Oh, that is okay. Wow. That's an
You know what?
interesting.
That reminds me of the play the Jags used in 2022 to get there at 4th and 1 in the playoffs, and they ran a similar concept to get the first down to kick the game-winning field goal in that 27-0 game. So that's a very similar concept.
Oh, not there you go. But yeah, that worked out in multiple ways for you. You're just the start of the fourth quarter. Eagles have taken the lead for the first time tonight. Even if I had played my optimal lineup, I still would lose. I would still be fucked because you could have played T. Higgins and Jacoby Myers, and that's what's crazy. Jacoby Myers had a great game for you in a blowout. Which that's I think the takeaway from this week is the amount of injuries that came up this week, and then likely to go. Oh wow! So Trey Hendrickson out for the rest of the year. Shador being named to start of the rest of the year, which isn't surprising. Yeah. So I mean, going through the week. Thursday night, Lions probably put a nail in the Cowboys season. Seahawks destroyed the Falcons, which really wasn't that surprising. Steelers held on and beat the Ravens to take the lead in the division. Titans and Browns battling for the number 1 overall pick. Titans get that victory. I mentioned the Jaguars win. Jaguars were up and were dominating, and then Daniel Jones tore his Achilles, and then that was the end of the Colts. What little chance they might have had, I think, ended with that. The Vikings put a hurting on the Commanders, shut them out, and then the Jaden Daniels got hurt again, so now he's probably done for the year. The Jets are down to their third-string quarterback. The Dolphins all of a sudden are 6-7. So in theory, they still might actually have a chance. The Saints beating the Buccaneers is ugly. Gives the Carolina Panthers a little bit of help. The Bills go and probably knock the Bengals out of the playoff, any chance of the playoffs with their comeback there in the fourth quarter. Broncos now one hand on the NFC West or AFC West trophy. Wow, that is a massive hold. Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ, they didn't call that. That is one of the biggest holds I've ever seen in my life. My goodness. Packers in a battle for the number, what it works out to be, I guess, number 3 seed or 2 seed at the moment, beats the Bears and put themselves in the mix for number 1 seed. They're in the 2 seed now. Rams destroy the Cardinals because the Cardinals couldn't stop anything. Couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass. They were just allergic to defense. Sunday Night Football saw the Texans probably put the Chiefs on the ropes in terms of the playoffs. So that was the situation there. And then, I mean, I lost in the league that I auto drafts. Now I'm going to fall to the 2. But I'll still be in the playoffs there. I'll still have a bye. Oh my God, he freaking threw to Lad McConkey. Jesus fucking Christ. It only took until the 4th goddamn quarter, you goddamn noodlehead. What the fuck? You've been this goddamn Greg Roman. You know what? This reminds me of why I hated Greg Roman when he was the 49ers offensive coordinator. Just such shit. conservative play calling. Oh, so he gets a catch. He has 1.2 points. Oh, let's pull him off the field now and run again. It's like, what kind of garbage ass offense is this? Like, no wonder the Chargers never win when it counts. Like, you're trying to get, like, the guy, you need to get the ball out of his hands quick. So either you run the ball, you throw check downs to freaking Lad McConkey and let him, the guy is there to be a freaking run after the catch guy. No, we're just not going to ever throw the ball to Lad McConkey. We'll just give it to every other person known to man. What do you think? Who the hell do you think is going to come through? Freaking, what the hell? Who was that, tight end, their legendary tight end that was in the Hall of Fame? Oh, yeah, like, get him sacked. Let him go and run the ball and get killed again. Yeah, that's a good idea. Kellen Winslow, yeah, because his son's in jail or something now, yeah. What, you think Kellen Winslow's coming through the door? You're trying to go and run him like Dan Fouts? What the fuck kind of... Yo, what is with this free run? How many times are they going to let a free runner go and try and kill Justin Herbert? Like, do these offensive... Like, I think now, like, I know that the Cincinnati Bengals have a death wish on Joe Burrow, but I honestly think that the Chargers might have a death wish for Justin Herbert, too. Because this has been some of the worst pass blocking I've ever seen in my life. Wouldn't that be a good place to have, I don't know, Ladede McConkey instead of throwing to Kamani Vidal? Christ almighty, what a terrible offense. Like, Jesus, Greg Roman sucks. It reminds me of all those old days when he would insist on you throw one time to Lad McConkey and then don't go to him again. Like, the guy makes plays with the ball. Get him the damn ball. No, we have targeted him 3 times in the game. He has 1 catch for 12 yards. Only in Greg Roman's world can you not give the ball to somebody who's a dynamic playmaker. So this uneffing believable. Just such bad offensive play calling. You're going to lose this game. You're literally going to lose this game on a fake tush push when the Eagles have basically played like shit all night. Like, Saquon's the only person who's shown up for the Eagles on offense, and you're going to go and tell me that you're going to lose this game. That is just pathetic.
Not only that, but Jalen Hurts made history tonight by being the first player to commit 2 turnovers on a single play. So, I mean, if you lose the game when that happened, I mean, that's pretty bad. I mean, it's the definition of chargering, but, you know, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, yeah, the Greg Roman offense is horrible. And yeah, it depends on running the ball. And I mean, Justin Herbert is a completely different player looks completely different from what he was, in 2020 and 2021. So yeah, I feel you.
I mean, it's like he's a dynamic playmaker. Granted, you have Johnston, who's the deep threat, so you're going to take away the deep ball with him. All right, fine. You have Keenan Allen, who's been playing forever. And the point is, you should be going and putting them both on the same side, and then you have to decide if you're going to play man-to-man, one of them's probably going to get open on a man-to-man, or you're going to go and do a crosser concept, or you're going to go and run a go and you're going to have an underneath. You have Oronde Gadsden back, whatever he is right now. You run underneath concept with him, and then you run crossers. Come on, I'm a freaking football fan, all right? Anybody who's listening to this freaking show knows we're both big-time football fans. We've watched most of our lives. When you give me if I had freaking Justin Herbert, granted, I'm a Brock Purdy guy. I'll be a Brock Purdy guy. I don't care. He's the best quarterback they've had. They had Cap for 2 minutes. They've had, best quarterback that they've had since Jeff Garcia by far. Great. You give me Joe Burrow or you give me Justin Herbert and you're telling me you can't play call for that guy? You shouldn't have a job. Greg Roman is like Chip Kelly to me. It's how does he keep on getting employed? Other than you want to talk about DEI hires. That guy just got fucked. Oh, man. Oh, they
Oh
didn't
man,
call that
grabbing the
penalty either. He
wow.
got face
Okay,
mask, and then
the all right, the officials are so bad. It's like ridiculous how bad the reffing's been this year. Like unbelievable.
like they even called a penalty on the Chiefs, and it might have been the first time ever where the Chiefs actually got hosed on a penalty. And I'm like, man, that is a bad call. Like they didn't. Where was it? Who's the idiot that NBC has? Macaulay was rendered speechless. Like he couldn't even talk. Like it was such a bad call. Like, oh man, this is some really terrible football. My goodness. The football played on. So that's another interception. And you know what? To be fair, I'm like I was curious because you said that, and it's so true that I didn't know if it did count, if it counted because he had thrown the interception, they had fumbled the ball. The Chargers fumbled the ball. He recovered it and then lost the fumble. I didn't know if they counted that too. So that was what the -5 was that Wilson was saying. Okay, so that one wasn't exact. I mean, he threw it high, which I don't know how you could throw a ball high when AJ Brown's like 6'5" and has that big vertical, but it's probably because he threw a bad ball. Man, I'll tell you. Yeah, Chargers, show me how you're going to lose this game when the guy's thrown 3 picks and he has 4 or 5 turnovers. I think he has 4 turnovers in the game today, and where's Keenan Allen in this? You're just going to give the ball to Kimani Vidal. Oh, you did a play action fake. That is such a great concept. You just want to get him killed. God, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Greg Roman offense when they had Cap. Honestly, because they're running the same shitty concepts. They're like, you basically have a one read. You're giving him one read, and and he doesn't have enough time because the fact is, you're not blocking it in a way where he's going to be able to. They need him to go run out and run a loop. Basically, they need to run out into the flat for the concept to actually develop. Unless you're going to tell me Keenan Allen's hurt. I don't know. But my goodness. All right. Let's get back to what we were talking about. This has been such bad football. Yeah, I mean, right now, the Patriots are on a bye, and they dropped down to second right now, tied. Same record as the Broncos. Broncos right now would be the 1 seed. Patriots would be the 2. Oh, wow, Keenan Allen is alive, and he got through to him on 3rd down. What a novel concept, too. Jaguars, with their win, moved to first place in the AFC South, and it would be the 3. Steelers are the 4 seed, and they would play the Bills. The Chargers, as of now, would be the 6, and then the Texans, as of now, are the 7 seed. At 8 and 5. So the teams that are on the outside looking in, the Colts, who don't have a quarterback, the Ravens, who are at 6 and 7, so they're 2 games out. The Chiefs, who are also 2 games out, would need a lot of help at this point. The Dolphins are also in that same boat. So yeah, I mean, the Bengals are basically done. There's virtually no chance. They're 3 games. They're 4 and 9, so they're 3 games back with 4 to play. So, as it stands, 4 teams are out in the AFC. There's 5 teams out in the NFC officially. The Rams currently the number 1 seed. Packers a number 2, 9-3-1. They're talking about it on Monday Night Football as well. Coming up with a new word. So now the new word is scrambling for the teams that are on the bubble or need help or whatever. The Rams, yeah, and I said the Packers, the Eagles right now are leading, and they going to win the NFC East. Even with a loss tonight, they'd still win the NFC East because they're not going to have any resistance. You have one team which has a rookie quarterback and they're going nowhere. You have another team that's gone bottomed out. And then you have the Cowgirls, the Buccaneers. This is amazing. An
I was
amazing.
there.
Yeah, you were there, getting rained on, watching that just absolute shit show. There was rain in Florida all weekend because it affected the Snowball Derby. It affected racing. I think at Sebring too. I don't know. There might have been a reason. There definitely was Snowball Derby. It affected. It was affecting Jacksonville's game. It affected the Tampa game. They are now at 7-6, tied with the Panthers. Seattle, even with their win, with the tiebreakers or whatever, they fall to the 5. The Niners move up to the 6, and the Bears go from the 1 seed to the 7 with everything that happened. The Lions are at 8-5, so they're still in the mix with a chance. Panthers, of course, I think their door is basically the division. And then the Cowgirls are going to need help. Vikings, yeah, don't worry about it. They're out. And so we mentioned all the games in terms of the fantasy. McConkey, I mean, for me, and I had Tyrod Taylor, who had 6 passing yards and an interception. So he had minus 1.7 points. So I would have been better off having a blank spot than having Tyrod Taylor play this week. And basically, I would have been better off having 2 blank spots because Lad McConkey has not existed. I'm going to score 128 points, and I'll still make the playoffs, but probably be a one-and-done scenario. Josh has a better chance than I do at this point. I think it would make more sense for me to go and trade my players or trade Patrick Mahomes or something, but then he went and threw for 3 interceptions. So he made up for that. He had 6 points rushing, 5.9 yards rushing. Oh, he had a minus 10. So he minus 1. So 9, was it 6 points minus for interceptions? He had minus 10 receiving yards. So he got 0. Okay, so don't give. Okay, so he didn't get screwed for the minus receiving yards. 5.9 for the rushing, and then another 1.75. So he did make up for his interceptions with his rushing attempts and rushing yards. What a shit show. I won against a guy who's not won a game this year. So am I really going to field a competitive team next week? I don't know, in that league, just to, I guess, keep up appearances in that league. And then I'm going to fall to second, but by points, it's possible, I guess. Wait a minute. Is that game still going on to where he has a chance to rise up? Somehow or another, my schedule worked out to where I end up playing against these dipshits that actually are, so let me see. He has Kamani Vidal. So actually, there is a chance if Vidal gets right now the standings in the league, he needs 10 points. He needs 11 more points, 0.4. So there is a chance, actually, if this goes to overtime, there is a chance that, but I have Lad McConkey in this league too. I didn't draft him in this league, so I can't even be blamed for that one. So he has Vidal and I have McConkey. But hopefully I'll make the playoff, and I'll make the playoffs in this league. I'll make the playoffs in my league. I'm not going to win any of my fantasy leagues this year. All that means is that I'm rooting for the 49ers to make the playoffs to make up for the fact that my fantasy teams suck, and to go and have an epic performance in these playoffs. That's about it. Josh, it looks like for you, you're going to have that opportunity. So congrats on that. By right now, your lead, you needed a bunch of shit to happen. He almost tried to throw it right to him. He did it two different ways, or he was going to get stripped. I thought he was going to get stripped out of it, blocked, or he was going to go and throw it to somebody else. But you had all the machinations work. I didn't think it was possible. And then when I saw the Tyrod Taylor performance, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to lose. And I need everything that you were talking about to go through, and it did. So go and talk about your experience at the Buccaneers game, watching bad football there, and then watching continued bad football here, but in this case, working out in your favor.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I'll start off. So the tailgate, so we tailgated before the game. Was playing catch with my friends, and I threw it a little low, and it bounced off the ground. And my friend tried to, we're all coworkers and everything, and he tried to catch the ball off the ricochet on the ground, and it jammed his fingers. And then it happened again, I think, on like the next throw. So today at work, and he was icing his hand, from the cooler, like while we were tailgating and stuff and all that. And then today at work, he's like, he showed me his hand, his left hand, like middle finger and ring finger are all swollen like sausages. So he was like, yeah, I got to go to urgent care and get this checked out. I was like, yeah, you might have broken my hand. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So, that was a really interesting. Wait, what?
I said, way to be break Bortles and break his hand.
Yeah,
With a low ball.
Yeah, I'd be like that. But so that was funny. But then, the rain at the Bucks game, just torrential downpour for 90% of that game, or seemingly, or 80%, whatever. But it was just bad passing throughout the game because the quarterbacks on both sides just couldn't find anything with the weather and nobody being open. So it really just turned into a running game, and the Saints they were just able to take advantage of that, and they played with more physicality throughout, I think, and that led them to winning the game there. The first play, or the first series for the Saints, they went right down the field and got a touchdown, and I was like, okay, this is going to be one of those games where, the 2-10 team is going to just show up here and play up against the team that's supposed to win and everything. And then, of course, the Bucks went down and got a touchdown, I think, on their first drive, and then after that, it was kind of just a slop fest after that for the most part. And then, just a lot of sloppy football, especially from the Bucks, who they're supposed to make this division, make their NFC South playoff appearance, right? And then the Saints just came out and took care of business. I mean, Tyler Shook. I mean, I was like, this guy's like not supposed to be good, and he has 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, I was like, oh, he's got some wheels. So it made it work somehow. So my friends were upset, understandably. I mean, about this loss. So I guess I felt bad, but then I was also just laughing because I was like, wow, like, unbelievable to see them lose against a losing team. So, that was pretty interesting there. Game day experience, I mean, obviously I've been to Jags games, obviously I've been to a Chargers game back in the day against the 49ers in preseason in like 2009. So those are my only other NFL experiences, I think. And then going to this one, thought it was pretty good. I mean, I liked the game day elements that they had. Nothing really seemed like it was out of place or anything in terms of presentation from the entertainment side. And I mean, I liked the cannons that they fired and everything. So it's pretty interesting, pretty nice to see all that. I feel like there have been a lot of times where, I've seen from people on social media, or, been at Jags games where, they hype up the crowd at like the wrong times, where it's like the Jags are like down like 20-3 or 26 or whatever, and it's like, they're struggling, and then all of a sudden, like, in the middle of the struggle, like the hype man, camera, whatever, goes up on the big board. He's like, "All right, fans, it's time to get hyped up for this, dance. Like you got to do your dance or whatever." And I'm like, yeah, like why are they doing this? This is like at the wrong time and everything. So, I don't think that's happened this year for the Jags. I haven't been to a Jags game yet this year, actually, but at least from what I've seen on social media, the people have not really complained about the hype person or whatever, like doing stuff at the wrong time. So but I've heard about that in the past, and I did not get that at all from the Bucks. I think for the most part. So at least they have. I mean, but then again, they also have an expectation of winning. So there is that. I will say though, and this is a Florida problem, but fans wearing other teams' jerseys to the game. I mean, there wasn't as much as like seeing the Eagles and the Bucks, but like there was a handful of fans. Like, I mean, there's a couple of fans that I saw wearing Jags jerseys. Like, there's a Brian Thomas and a Travis Hunter jersey that I had seen, and I was like, "Yo, let's go Jags!" But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to wear, like, my friends are like, don't wear a Jags jersey. I'm like, don't worry, I'm not going to, because I'm not that type of guy. And there are people wearing other teams' jerseys, like a Cowboys jersey, a Lamar jersey, or whatever. And then there was a couple of fans in front of us, like, they had Bills hats on, but then like they also had like a temporary tattoo on their face of the Bucks. A couple of women and I guess like this girl's boyfriend or whatever, they had Bucks temporary tattoos on their face, but then they were wearing Bills hats. I'm like, what are you doing? And there was a guy in front of us that had a Chargers hat on, and he was there. And then there was somebody, like, I guess his girlfriend or wife was like, yeah, the Jags are my AFC team, but the NFC team is the Bucks. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, there's only one team. Pick a team. Like, I don't like I'll root for the Chargers, right? They're on right now. My brother likes them and everything, but like, I'm not gonna go and buy their gear. Maybe I'll buy a T-shirt, but or something. But I'm not gonna like claim them or say like, oh, they're my second like favorite team or whatever. It's a rooting interest. That's it. Nothing. So, I don't really like when fans or whatever just show up to the game. And like they had on TV here earlier, they had the Broncos fans just sitting in the stands. I mean, they're trolling and everything. I get it, but like it just looks stupid and cheesy to me to just have fans from other teams clearly rocking other teams' gear at the game. So, but I mean, it doesn't matter because they all make money anyways for the teams and for the league. So I guess there's that part, but that's just been a pet peeve of mine there. But otherwise, yeah, for this game here, needed Saquon to get at least 6.24 points to ensure not have a tiebreaker with Steve in fantasy. And then also, I mean, I think for Luke also, I had to make sure there was not a tiebreaker there on points either. So with that and, Saquon getting a big touchdown, that puts him at 22 points for the day, I think. And then for me, I'm at 155.28, I think, or something like that. So virtually that guarantees me a win here. So, I think, yeah, at this point it's a win. So I've now done the impossible, which I need going into this game. I needed to Steve and Luke to lose, and then I needed to win versus you, and then ensure that I had enough points to not get a points tiebreaker and everything. And what seemed like the impossible is now all but happened. So crazy to think that would happen. But last week you're like, you have sold me. I was like, yeah, I told you. So I definitely had enough faith in the possibilities of this actually happening. So at least there's a chance of me getting my money back here in fantasy this year. So looking forward to competing in the playoff with my 3 running back trio of Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, and Saquon Barkley. So it was not the amount of points that I would have expected. I would have expected to score 190 points, but it didn't play out that way. Definitely let a lot on the table there. I guess I forgot to check my lineup before the game. In hindsight, probably should not have started Xavier Worthy when he was going up against the Texans, where the Bengals were going up against the Bills with T. Higgins there. So T. Higgins had 27 points. And then Jacoby Myers, of course, on the Jags now, has improved the Jaguars just by being on the team, by basically catching everything that he's throwing, doing his job, and running the right routes. Definitely one of the best trades in the NFL. Jacksonville trading for Jacoby Myers, but he put up a fairly solid stat line for fantasy with 16 points. So definitely may have to look at actually putting him as a starter here, potentially could be. So definitely will be looking at that there. But yeah, in the playoffs for this league, so good to see that back in after missing it last year. And then, of course, yeah, my other league, not in the playoffs there, but I think I did win this week, so that should knock out the person that I was facing in that league. So good there. And then, of course, yeah, the Jags, of course, winning, which, of course, big. I mean, it's terrible to see, but I mean, for me in fantasy, definitely helped me with Daniel Jones tearing the Achilles. So, because I think Steve or Luke had him starting in fantasy, so that basically like hurt their stat line by a ton and effectively killed their fantasy output. So, for me, as a Jags fan, definitely put that in position to have the Jags win that game, of course, and then Trevor Lawrence threw 2 touchdowns. Travis Etienne had 2 touchdowns, so really good game. It was basically over by halftime, 28-13 there, and then safety and a couple of field goals there in the second half. So yeah, now Jags are in the division lead for the AFC South, 1 game ahead of the Colts, who look like their season may be over effectively, and the Texans won their game, but they're a game behind right now. So the Jags still have a chance of the number 1 seed, so maybe that'll happen now. If my fantasy playoff scenario happened, maybe the Jags will get the number 1 seed because they got to win out. Definitely possible because they've basically gone up against anybody now and won against them, and then they've got to win out. They got the Jets, the Broncos, and the Colts, and then the Titans. So of those games, the Broncos definitely going to be the toughest, but anything can happen. Week 15, so for the Jags to get the number 1 seed in Week 15, the Bills have to defeat the Patriots, and then the Packers have to defeat the Broncos, and then in Week 16 or Week 17, no, sorry, Week 16, the Patriots have to, or sorry, the Ravens have to defeat the Patriots at home in Week 16. So if that happens, then and the Jags win out, if those 3 games go in what I said, then the Jaguars will have the number 1 seed more than likely. So they'll have a 99% chance of that happening. So in that scenario, so yeah, that'd be very interesting to see, and I would love to see that too. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, Jaguars now a winning record again. So after last year's debacle of a season, and the beginning of the year was definitely a debacle with the coaching search and the GM firings and all that. So glad for the turnaround here now in December. So ready to see how the rest of the season plays out. And if the Jaguars can make a run here, which definitely it looks like they can go up against anybody and win. So definitely looking forward to seeing how that plays out. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting deal here the rest of the way. I mean, of course, throwing a wrench here, the Colts are looking, I mean, we talked about it offline in the group chat, but the Colts are looking at bringing back Phillip Rivers 5 years after he last played a game. So that's crazy to see because, if he's been in game shape, if he somehow signs with them, I mean, that's going to be crazy because, what have they been doing if he's been in game shape for the last 5 years? And then second of all, that would actually hurt him because, I don't think he would get into the Hall of Fame this year, but over Drew Brees, but, he's, in the list of eligible nominees. And I did see that if he is on an active roster, I think if he's signed to an active roster, then that would reset his timeline to another 5 years for him to be in the consideration for the Hall of Fame. So there's a lot to be considered from that angle too. So we'll see if they actually sign Phillip Rivers, which be insane, and if that happened, and crazy if he actually started a game. So that would be insane to see that happen. But I mean, the Colts obviously are grasping at straws to try to save their season and at least make the playoffs, because they basically have gone from being 7-1 to almost out of the playoffs at this point. So I guess they got to do something to save their year. So yeah, we'll see what happens here the next couple weeks. But it's definitely an exciting time for football, at least for me. And I think even for you with your fantasy teams not doing that well, but at the same time, I mean, the Niners definitely are in it. So there's definitely that to look forward to here as the regular season close out and we get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, 4 weeks to go. It's going to be hard to get past the Rams. I mean, they split with them. Oh, man, he almost had a huge play. Cooper DeJean. That would have been a big one. Made up for my whole entire night. Is that 2-minute warning? Oh, he deflected it, or else that would have been or it was kind of deflected, yeah. In terms of the upcoming games, I mean, you got 4 games to go in this season, and Niners coming off of a bye, the latest bye they've had in forever. Going against the Titans at home. The game against Indianapolis at Indianapolis has totally changed on Monday Night Football. That is a dumpster fire situation for them, for the Colts. They'll have a hard time with Jonathan Taylor, but it'll be much easier to stop them when they don't really have a quarterback. Titans have a quarterback, but they don't have an offensive line. So you would assume, and you can make an assumption, it would be a fair assumption that both of those should be favorable matchups. The Bears game, they have Ben Johnson, so they have interesting play calling, but Caleb Williams is a good running quarterback. He's been able to avoid a lot of sacks against a team like the Niners who doesn't know how to sack anybody. That's not the issue. The coverage is where it lies, and we'll see. That's a big playoff matchup right there. So these next couple of weeks against the AFC South teams hopefully should go in favor, and then they would have a Sunday Night Football at home at Levi's. Last 2 games will be at Levi's. Sunday Night Football at home, and maybe another Sunday Night Football game the following week on Week 18 against Seattle for the division. So, yeah, I mean, easiest route is to win out, to go. And as it stands, ever since they lost to the Rams, they've won 3 consecutive games. So if they can win out here, be on a 7-game winning streak, even if that means they're still in a wild card scenario, I don't think many teams would want to face the 49ers at that point, with an opportunity, of course, for the 49ers to be only the second team ever to go to a Super Bowl in their own stadium. And there's going to be a flag on, is that they're calling pass interference? Okay. I don't know. Yeah, so there is that. And then, of course, the Jags have their opportunity to win the division and maybe get the number 1 seed. The Niners, with all the injuries and all the things that oh my God, they called a penalty on Blankenship, but then they called, what? Oh man, they blew him up too. That was a good, wow. That is some bad officiating, I'll tell you. Yeah, he has no chance. Oh man. Thought he was going to get killed on that one. Yeah, so, all right. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of Formula E, I'll just get into that. We'll keep it short and sweet here in terms of the roundup, get more news, and maybe get Joe on next week for a Cup Series recap. But Formula E was on for their first race of the season. And there's Kamani Vidal. That's not 10 points. That's probably a point. He needs 10 points. So now I have to go back and look at that again. I made a whole bunch of. I like how my team is neutral and quarterback, DBDL, and then weakness is everything else. That's lovely. Oh, Keenan Allen. There you go. I have to go over here now and I have to see the stat tracker and I have to look at the league stats. So yeah, he still needs. Yeah, he needs 10. Yeah, he didn't overthrew Gadsden. All right. Formula E. Jake Dennis wins the first race of the season in Sao Paulo. And goes and Oliver Rowland from the pole. Oliver Rowland, the defending champion, started 13th, ran the fastest lap, and finished second. And then Nick Cassidy for Citroen Racing finished third. So that was a podium. The pole was Pascal Verline. How does it say P? What is that? Okay, so then what is not pole? It was Dennis won from pole. And then so he won the qualifying. So he won the head-to-head against. Okay, so he did win pole, but he ended up starting fourth. I don't know. This stupid qualifying. Then Nico Muller. So the Porsche drivers were fourth and fifth. Max Gunther for DS Penske, sixth. Joel Eriksson and Sebastian Buemi for Envision, seventh and eighth. Nick DeVries was ninth, and Zane Maloney was last point scorer. Looking through, so yeah, there's a Durakovic. Okay, all right. So there's that. Yeah, so we'll move on to you, Josh, for the sim segment. I know that the Hoosier 500, the qualifying was very, very tough to make the field. You basically had to average 227.9 for a 4-lap average just to make the show. And there were a lot of attempts. And you weren't. I know that you had let me know offline that it was going to be hard. And once I saw the qualifying on Instagram and the speeds they were putting up, I was like, I get it, how competitive that field was.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was fairly competitive, and I was averaging 226.3 in my offline testing and practice, I think. So, I mean, yeah, the Monday opening speed, obviously great number, but that was with the help of the toe and everything, and I took it just to do it right, but then the actual qualifying testing, I knew it was going to be a lot lower than that. And then I mean, I found a good what I thought was a good setup online there. So and I was testing there 226.3. I thought that'd be good enough because it was looking like from just the speeds and everything from what people were posting up in practice, I thought it might be solid enough to make it in as possibly a bubble guy. But then once qualifying happened, like the first half of qualifying, like through the first like morning portion of it, I mean, I didn't have a grid, or not a grid spot. I didn't have a guaranteed qualifying time slot, so I was defaulted to the open. And so just the morning portion of it, I was like, well, it's probably going to be the 20s to bubble spot. And then, later on check back in after I did my stick shift driving school thing. And that ended up being really good on that part. But the qualifying part, was way out of range for what I was running, so I knew at that point. And then I tried to do a couple of mock runs just to see where I would line up, and I would have just placed in like 54th or 57th or something. And I'm like, well, at that point there's not really any point in trying this, because I think in the rules they said if it officially says like if at any point this run's not going to be a competitive run, like they have the right to waive it off. And then Tanner had said in the Discord, like, oh, like it wouldn't, like he probably wouldn't enforce that rule on the first day of qualifying. But at that point I was like, I still, even with that, I mean, I don't really see the point in trying this. And I tried a couple more times and test offline just to see where it line up, and then I just wasn't even consistent at all to really keep everything below 40 seconds, because it started having some wall contact and everything like that, trying to find something. I mean, obviously it was still trying to do this in good faith, but obviously the speed just wasn't there for the setup and everything. So I mean, obviously it's going to be the best of the best in iRacing IndyCar. I mean, all the guys, or at least most of the guys that I've seen on their, they're in the top 1% of IndyCar racers on iRacing. So on sim racers on iRacing in the IndyCar series. So yeah, it's definitely a tough field to make, and it's definitely the best of the best in oval racing and IndyCar. So or just in general. So it's nothing to be ashamed of, obviously, but I think definitely to make it in qualifying setup or have a chance, you have to be on a team or be in the know of people who have good setups and stuff. So that'd be something to look for in the future. And probably just have to run. I mean, I run IndyCar, I feel like, enough to be good at Indianapolis, but obviously have to in order to be able to be on those teams, you have to run IndyCar as a series a lot more. So maybe look at that in the future. Obviously, I've added sports car racing to the schedule and have done fairly well there. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, with all that's being said, I mean, did finally make a new paint scheme for our car, so got that at least. I meant to post up a photo, so maybe at some point I'll do that this week potentially. So we'll see. But at the very least, it should be an entertaining race, I guess, to watch for the Open Wheels 500 or the Hoosier 500. So and there are some names that definitely did not make the race that I would have thought. And we were talking about it offline. There are people that have really been really good in the past and showed big speed in practice that didn't make the race and everything. So yeah, definitely a tough race to make. And there is going to be one issue there with this race, is that iRacing is releasing an update for season 1 2026 here on Tuesday. And one of the changes is going to be adding the hybrid system to the IndyCar. And so that's going to just change the setup for everybody for race setups. So everybody's going to have to factor that change into their setup and experience what it's like for the first time running that. And then I think Tanner has added an extra practice session on Thursday, and then added another one on Friday to make up for that, to give people enough time to acclimate to that change there. So yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see how that hybrid system change affects the handling. I mean, we saw in real life change the element of the racing on ovals, at least. Definitely made it added a lot more weight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So definitely saw a lot of handling come into issue compared to the past in the Indy 500. So we'll see how iRacing is able to replicate that if they're able to here. But yeah, also I guess in that note, with moving on from the Hoosier 500, just general iRacing news. Obviously, season 1 update for iRacing is going to be released tomorrow. It'll be the week 13 where they drop this huge update here for iRacing. So obviously a lot of new content here on iRacing coming out. One of those being the Miami International Autodrome, aka the Miami Grand Prix, coming out, being released here. Adelaide Grand Prix is being released. The Porsche 911 992.2 car is being released. I think that's on the table there. New tracks obviously being released here. See if I can pull up that update here. Yeah, Miami, I guess might have to download that. The iRacing, let me look this up. iRacing season 1 update here. Use initial release notes here. Yeah, the FIA cross car, I guess, is new. here. Two new dirt road configurations: Lucas Oil Speedway Off-Road and Winston Motor Speedway Rallycross. I guess they've updated Rockingham here for the oval side. Physics updates for the Toyota GR86 and the Dallara IR18, as we talked about. Truck Series aerodynamic model updates, GT3 class car updates, improvements on oval refresh for multi-groove racing, rain racing for the Porsche 911 Cup, and AI racing as well. So, and I guess more improvements to dust and water for the rain setup in iRacing. So yeah, definitely a lot of updates here for iRacing, and I think also some updates to the graphics and UI as well. So user interface getting a little bit more modernized as they continue to bring up the game to standards. So yeah, we'll see how all those updates play out. Definitely gonna have to try the IndyCar update on my own, this week, and then maybe we'll download the Miami International Autodrome and see how that looks like and how much of a killer graphics hit that will be, because all the rendering that it's going to have to do for the trees and the football stadium and all that stuff. Maybe I wonder if you could actually drive through the Miami stadium. iRacing will have a football stadium, and it's well, I guess that's true with the USC stadium, but it'll have a football stadium scanned into the game there with the Miami Dolphins thing there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, we'll see a stream this week, if anything. We'll see if that happens. As always, Twitch TV at JP Huffine on there. And then, of course, Twitter page at JP Huffine on there, of course, talking about the Jaguars and all that stuff on there as well. And then, of course, our YouTube page, Scripture Podcast on YouTube, and then my photography page at Josh Huffine, my name, photography, all one word, on Instagram. So yeah, glad to be back in the playoffs. We'll see what happens and see if we can make something happen here. Maybe something will happen, and next, I guess in a month or so, or however long it takes to deliver mail, I'll be showing the wrestling belt on my end of the camera here once the season ends. We'll see.
Yeah, if you're able to go and make this epic comeback and then get right in there and do this, then there would be something. And since you're literally the only person other than me that doesn't have a kid in this league, I think, but I don't know about Steve. I know Jeff does, and he's not going to make it. And for the rest of let me go and see here. Justin Herbert now is turned into Lamar Jackson. It looks like the way they're trying to get him killed. Oh, so Philly didn't get the ball first, right? This is the Chargers are kicking this. Okay, so that means Philly's going to have a chance to win the game with a touchdown. Okay. In terms of here, and yeah, I mean, Jeff isn't going to make the playoffs. Vic, Steve, Luke and Vic have kids. I don't know about Steve. You and I don't have. Matt doesn't have a kid yet. And he's local, so if he did win the championship, then I would actually deliver it to him. I mean, Joe is in Jersey, but he has kids. Manny, I would give him the belt because he's very local, and the ring, but he's hard to get a hold of because he's a pain in the ass. And then Wilson, well, he can go fuck himself. I love him, but he can go fuck himself. And he has 3 kids, so there's no way in hell I'm going to send it the way the U.S. Postal Service works these days. California is out. New York is out. I would do it for you because we're bros and you're single, so I know nothing would happen to any of it. So, but I'd have to figure out like priority mail, and I'd have to like double, quadruple. I might have to put it in the box that it came in, plus like do some other, like I'd have to go and put it in like some real crazy wrapping. I'd have to have Amy do it. But you can find me at PGMGSP28 on Instagram. You can find me at PGMatthew28 on Twitter. Find us on the YouTube page, ESP1428, as well as, of course, the Gripster podcast page, and then philipgmatthew.com and podbean.com. So thanks for listening. I think next week we'll do the Cup recap as a pre-Christmas lead up, or maybe on Christmas week, depending. But we'll do something, one of the recaps next week, and keep her going here. Talk about all things football here on the Gripster podcast as we get late into this NFL season. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.